What's up, guys, and welcome to the Rebalance podcast, where we dive into topics that matter most when it comes to overcoming struggles, injuries, and finding balance in your life. Everybody's idea of balance is that bit different, so my goal is to give you different perspectives, practical tips, as well as expert insights into what it means to live a balanced life. My name is Robbie Cassidy. I'm a physiotherapist and a health coach, and I've been helping people reignite their love for challenge, overcome their fear, and find more balance in their life through the process of self-development. So, let's get into it. What's up, guys, and welcome back to the podcast. On this episode of the podcast, it's going to be a small bit different to the ones I would have done in the past. I'm going to talk a bit about my time in Argentina, why I moved here, as well as my first impressions so far of the country. And the reason I'm making this bit of a segue is because people have actually asked me to talk a bit about my experience here, and also to compare it to other places that I've lived. So I want to, in this one, should just start off by saying, when I say I'm going to speak about Argentina as a whole, I can't really talk about the country as a whole because I've only been around Buenos Aires, the capital city. I obviously have plans to go to Mendoza, Bariloche, Mar del Plata, a few different places and around here. But as of now, I can only speak on my experience in this city. And to be honest, from first experience, or from just getting here and getting straight into it, it is a beautiful city, very European city, European kind of looking city, you could say. But yeah, a lot of elements to it. And I'll dive into them. I suppose I better talk about first why I decided to come here, and then I'll talk about my experience so far. So I guess the first reason that I wanted to move to Argentina is I wanted a new challenge of something that to a place I hadn't been before. I'd never been to Latin America. I do plan to get around Latin America a small bit more and try to get up to Peru and Chile, Colombia. I'd love to get to Brazil for a small while and just kind of trek around here. But I like Argentina as a base because my understanding of it was similar enough to a European city. So it was kind of like a nice starting point before I delved into the deeper aspects of Latin America. But it's also, I think there's an energy to this city that I had heard about, but I had never really understood it. So I wanted to see what that was like. And the other side of it is that I wanted to move to a place that I knew nobody, because I wanted to just go for like a reset. I wanted to find a place that I could go, set up, and kind of get back into my routine. Because I found if I moved to a place I knew a lot of people, I would have just fallen into their routine in a small bit. Like, obviously not completely, but in a way, when you do know a lot of people in a place, you tend to meet those people, and then obviously that forms a group, and then the group kind of identity, or the group ideas, and the group make plans, and that's what I didn't want to get into. So I thought it was nice to change it up, go to Latin America, check it out, and start off in Argentina and build my way from there. Now, as I said, I love the idea of challenging yourself, and I think it's something that we all should try in different aspects. Obviously, not everyone can just pack up and leave and go to another country, but I think you can challenge yourself in loads of ways. And I think what it does is it leads you to learn more about yourself. And I'm noticing that on this journey, I'm learning a lot more about myself, as well as the way I think about things and I approach things, especially from a learning aspect, how I try to learn new things. Because coming here, I couldn't speak a word of Spanish. And not that I can speak a lot more now, but I definitely do have a better understanding of general phrases, especially with context. And I think that's an interesting one. Like, let's say context. What is context? Like, if I'm at a restaurant, I have a general idea of what they're asking me. And if I go to the shop, or if I'm talking to somebody about something, usually the main conversation always starts off the same, and I can go to a certain point. And usually then from there I can get a bit of an understanding of what's going on. But my ability to formulate sentences, and that is not where I would like it to be. And the other thing is that a lot of people here speak English, so when I start stumbling on words, or when I have to really think about a word, I definitely just revert to English too easy. But I'll talk about that a small bit more as I go through it. But as I said, I wanted to move to a place where I knew no one. I had never been to Latin America. I love the culture here. I love to obviously try experience a new culture, and from my understanding of South America or Latin America, they're very passionate people. I think you can see that through sport, and through music and through dance. So very expressive, and I really like that idea. And it's completely different to Asia, where I would have been before, because Asia is definitely a bit more reserved, while here is a lot more expressive, fine by nature. And I think it was a nice place to come out. I know there's a lot of digital nomads, even though I'm not a big man on that word, because I think that it's probably thrown around lightly and everyone uses it. I prefer just to be setting up in a place and an expat, maybe. I don't know if that's the right one either. And I should also say that I had planned coming here before they won the World Cup, so that was actually an added bonus. I got out here after, and I missed the initial thing. And oh my god, I was here as well, like just yesterday or 2 days ago. They were playing Panama, and I had, like, it was their first game back, and I had tickets, but I left it too late, and I watched it on TV after. Something that I regret, because I should have got to the game, because, well, hopefully a local got the tickets, but I would have loved to have gotten to the game, because I hadn't realised it was like their homecoming, their actual first kind of game back. So it was a huge thing, which I watched on TV, and it was good atmosphere. They won 2 goals. Messi got a goal as standard. Yeah, so I think that was a huge part of it. The other side of it, as I said, was like learning a language. I really wanted to learn a language, or to try to learn a new language, or I want to try to learn a new language, because when I look at my life in ways and in blogs, it's definitely one of the biggest challenges that I've had, and no fault of my own. Or what am I saying? It's completely my own fault, because I was so I would say ignorant in school to learning a new language, because I just felt that everyone would learn English, which is, when I think back at it now, massive bias. When I was a child, I think because I was learning French, and French is not a nice language to learn. It's a lovely language, but it's a very difficult language to learn, and it's definitely a language that they're very specific on the way you say certain things. So I just found that it was taking a lot of my time, and I wasn't getting anywhere with it. So I blocked it off, and I genuinely think that I put up a mental barrier in my brain to try to learn languages. And that's something that I feel now I've kind of slowly but surely gotten over. It was definitely a limiting belief for a while that I wasn't able to do it. So now being down here and trying to get into the groove of learning it a bit more and using it in different situations is nice, because it feels like I'm overcoming one of those, I guess, obstacles that I would have put up in my own head. And it's nice as well, because obviously you're cutting yourself off to so much of the world when you aren't. So there's probably people listening to this that can speak 2, 3, 4 languages, and they're laughing at me. But it is something that I was ignorant to when I was younger, and it's something that I want to overcome and actually be able to do. So I think there's having that idea as well of looking at where your biggest challenges are and the things that you've struggled with in the past, I find for myself is a nice way of looking to build more confidence and more competence. And I think if you build confidence comes with competence, or competency. So in a way, like, learning a new language will, in time, I think it should pay dividends, because of the fact that I knew it was a big obstacle. And down the line, when I do come in contact with a big obstacle again, I'm going to have the mindset that, well, I've overcome things in the past, and I'm able to relate it to other things. And then hopefully then I'll be able to push on, and it will give me more confidence again to learn something different. And I think confidence, when you're trying to learn something, is a huge part of it. I think having that inherent confidence, or internal confidence that you will, or self-belief that you'll be able to do it, is huge, because you just approach a skill differently. That can be any skill. That can be from a martial arts to if you're trying to learn a new sport, language, instrument, whatever it is. I think confidence plays a massive role in that. And for me, I find the best way to learn things, for myself anyway, is to throw myself in the deep end and then to try figure it out from there. It was great coming here, because when I jumped in the deep end at the start, my brain was fried, because I was trying to pick up on what people were saying all the time. But I've noticed myself, which is a bad habit, and I'm highlighting it right now, is that I've definitely tended to talk to people who speak English more. Like in jiu-jitsu, the majority of people speak English there, and pretty good English as well, which is a bit of a fault of my own, that I don't try to speak Spanish there a small bit more. Not everyone speaks it, but it's definitely something that I tend to go to that side. Someone speaking English, I tend to lean on that, and it's definitely catching myself doing it now. I need to ease off it a bit more. But I was surprised as well that even though I do say a lot of people do speak English, there's a lot of people who don't have a word of English either, which is nice because then you do have to force yourself to try get through that situation. And I think right now I probably need to throw myself into that side of it a small bit more. Otherwise, before I came here, another reason was to come and train jiu-jitsu. I think for myself, I was just thinking that surely South America should have fairly solid roots in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, considering that that side of it came from here. And I wanted to just test it out, so I wanted to be closer to Brazil. My plan was to go to Brazil and do a bit of training up there as well. So we'll see how that goes. Now, I guess to talk a small bit about my experience so far, as I said, I've really just experienced Buenos Aires, the city here, and I think that as I get to go around and check other parts of the country, I'll have a better way of comparing it to other places that I've lived in the past, and I will do a podcast on that. But I want to talk mostly about the city, and this city is, I have to say, I absolutely love the city itself. Very, very nice city. Really cool people. I spent most of my time around certain areas. I haven't really seen the outside or the outskirts of the city. I know it's a small bit different out there. But speaking of my experience of what I have seen, it's a beautiful city, really cool people, really, really nice place, and very chill. And being from a country where I was a bit cautious because I'm from the country in Ireland. I'm from the west coast of Ireland, very, very, very country area. But being from that, I was cautious coming here because I love being in nature and I love being around the sea. And that's one thing I do miss about the city is you don't really get to the sea here. Unless you go south to like Mar del Plata or somewhere like that. There is a lot of nature in the city. There's a lot of parks, a lot of trees. It's very well set up and easy to get around, which is a huge thing. So I think that adds to the vibe of the city as well. And there's such a good energy around it. There's definitely parts of the city that I would like that you need, I think from my experience anyway, that it wouldn't be the best places for me to go. But I know there was one place that we ordered a taxi. Just as I was getting out of the taxi driver like basically turned around. He hadn't really said that much to us, and he said in broken English, he was just like, "Please get off the road here now. Like, don't be on the road." There was nobody on the roads at all. There was nobody on the street, nobody walking, very few cars. And he was like, "Please get off the street right now and go into a cafe." He's like, "Or go into something. Just don't be here and don't spend any longer here than you should be." And he was like, "Those guys on scooter on bikes that when they come past, he's like, they will get you." And I was like, geez, I don't know if I want to go, really. I want to get back in the taxi. We were supposed to be meeting someone to go to the game, to go to the Independiente game. But that was definitely an eye-opener for me, because I was like, oh yeah, well, you're not at home now. When the taxi driver's saying that to you, it's definitely to heed his warning. So we just basically got out, had a little walk around, and ended up going to getting into a cafe and just chilling out there for a while. But you could see it, there wasn't a sinner on the street walking around, and for a good reason, I could imagine. That's obviously in any city. You're going to have that anywhere you go. So I can't, I'm not going to say that it's all bad by any means. Otherwise, the people here, as I said, some of the nicest people in the world, really, really speak good English, very, very social, very friendly, very approachable, good energy. A lot of people are smiling going around, and definitely very passionate in ways. Went to a Boca Juniors game recently, and there was a significant portion of the crowd that weren't even watching the game. They were just having their own party in the stadium, which was amazing. I thought there was they had drums, there was people dancing, there was let's say when you look behind the goal where you have all that crowd, there's so many people that are down at the bottom looking back up at the crowd as opposed to turning around and looking the opposite way. Such passion, very as I said, music, dancing, really happy, kind of jumping around. Really, really nice place to go, and I would recommend anyone who came here to try get to a game. It's definitely not something that you would see at home as much anyway. Well, not any game that I've been to I could compare it to. Just a really quick message before we get into the podcast, guys. I hope you are having a great time listening to the show. I know everybody learns different, so sometimes having different outlets for learning, it's better to be able to apply these tips and make them more practical for you. For that reason, I post on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, so make sure to check them all out, the Mobility Tutor, to see it all firsthand. Really appreciate you, and we're going to jump straight back to the podcast. Other than that, there's a huge Italian influence in the city, which is funny because it becomes apparent when they talk about the food. I think it's I could be wrong in the stat, but I think it's 60% Italian heritage around the city for a Spanish-speaking country. That's mad. Yeah, you can see it in the way they talk about. When I came here, they were like, it has the best pasta, it has the best pizza, and it has the best football. And I was like, wow, they're three massive statements. Obviously, they have the best football because they proved that this year. But I was like, the best pasta and pizza, surely I would think that would come from Italy. And they were like, no, it's definitely here. Now, the pizza, I have to say, in my opinion, not great. It's mostly cheese. It's like they forget the sauce and they just double down on the cheese. But the pasta is so good. But there's definitely that Italian roots coming through. I like when you go to New York, it's the same thing. In New York, it has the best pizza that you go to. In Italy, it has the best pizza that you go to. So I'm sure that's definitely that heritage coming through in a way. But people here are very European looking as well. Not as much, I wouldn't say they're as Latin American looking as you would expect. Very, very European looking. And that obviously comes from this huge immigration as well, or has been over the years. So looking at all those, as I said, really kind people, really, really kind of kind society as well. I often see a restaurant, as you go past, a restaurant will be giving out takeaway boxes to like the homeless people or to people who would be begging, full dinners. And I think that's obviously huge. I think that comes true because that's the type of people that live here. And it's, very, very kind, very nice. It's great to see it as well in a country that struggles with an economy at the moment. Now, I won't go in and speak about that because I don't know enough about it to speak on it. I definitely don't know enough about it to speak on it, but the rate of inflation here, for people who don't know, it's like 100% inflation, I think, a year. And obviously that's going to have a huge effect on the people that live here, as well as a huge effect on poverty as well. And for me, the only way it really affects me is that we can't pay on our card because you get charged like double the price, and you have to go and take out cash every week. So you have to go to like a Western Union and take out all your cash. You use that for the week, and then the next week you go and get more. That's the only real thing that I've noticed, but obviously it affects them a lot more. I guess I wouldn't be doing it justice if I didn't talk about their main man. I think Messi as well is a very, like, he is a god, and I don't mean to say that lightly down here. It seems that he's a god, or he's godlike, and people actually describe him as bigger than God. And I've heard a lot of people say it's very hard to describe until you get here. There's murals of him everywhere. He went to a restaurant just down the road here recently, and there was like, I think 600 people outside the restaurant chanting his name while he was going to eat. I said for the crack, a guy was asking me, oh yeah, what do you think of Messi or whatever? And I was like, I don't know, I'm a bit more of a Ronaldo fan, just to see what they said. Like, my God, it's like I spoke out against, it was blasphemy. I was very quickly changed, and I was like, no, I'm only joking. It was definitely, I was like, wow, there's a real, I suppose he did bring them the World Cup, or he did help them win the World Cup, so there's a real love for him here, like you would never see it. It's very interesting. I've never seen it anywhere else in any other country in the world like that. Now, looking at my language learning, as I said, it's coming along. Need to get more into it. Only so much energy each week, so I need to focus on different tasks. And right now, I've actually kind of found myself focusing more on trying to get this. I'm working on a business project at the moment with a kind of a course, a back pain course. So I'm focusing specifically on that, and I'm probably prioritizing speaking English too much, and I think that's having an effect on it. But I will get back into it more over the next while. I just need to force myself back into it. Training wise, hitting the gym. It's funny. Gyms are widely available. Squat racks, not widely available, which is a balls, I think. There's so many Smith machines, and the free weights areas in the gyms that I've been to. Now, I've only been to maybe 2 or 3 different gyms, but the free weights areas aren't massive. Smith machines are definitely prioritized, and so are machines in general, I think anyway, from the ones I've been at. So I would love that. Anyone who hears here from Argentina, listen to it. Maybe get a couple of squat racks sorted out in your gyms. The ones that I want to, Mr. Garage Gym, if you're looking specifically. Yeah, that's the only thing. Otherwise, great atmosphere, great environment. And then jiu-jitsu. So the last 2 things I'm going to talk about, jiu-jitsu and the expat culture down here. Jiu-jitsu, the gym I'm in seems to be extremely high level, which I'm delighted for. Is exactly what I was looking for. But my God, really down the pecking order in there. So I have to try work my way up. Such a high standard, which is great. And often I've been in the class. Anyone who does jiu-jitsu will probably understand this more. So been in a class, and there's been like 7 to 8 black belts in a class, which I think is unheard of in any of the gyms that I've ever been in before. I think that's a huge one. I better give a shout out. There's a couple of guys as well who are top class, like that aren't black belts, that are still in there. Top class that may be listening to this, so I better call them out. A few Argentinian champions, very, very good, high quality, and it's great to go in and be able to test yourself inside there. Also a great way to be humbled in a way. Overall, everyone is very helpful and really, really friendly, and I would recommend it to anyone if you're down here and you're looking to train. I'm in Alliance Gym. I haven't tried out any other ones, but I was happy to just stay in that one because once I got there, very welcoming, as I said, very friendly. Maddie, the owner, is a gent as well. So I would definitely ask anyone or say to anyone, if you're down here looking for a place to train, that's the place to go. The classes are in Spanish though. It changes the way I have to look at it. Probably need to study a bit more outside of it. I think a part of it is definitely I do feel ignorant not speaking in Spanish. So in many cases I just prefer to like listen to them when they're speaking it as opposed to try to converse as much in Spanish because it just takes you so long to get things out. But it's good, so I'm enjoying the challenge so far. Otherwise, the expat culture, is there a lot of people here? There seems to be around Palermo anyway, in the area that I'm living in. There's a lot of Americans and a lot of Europeans, I would say. Can't say I've met any Australians or from that side, but yeah, a lot of Americans, a lot of Europeans. Like Irish people, haven't met a whole lot of them down here. There is an Irish expat group, like there's a GA team that they play Bulfin, I think it's called. I haven't gone up there yet. I should go up there though. There's probably a lot of English. Most people that I've met here are passing through. They're not living here as much. They're not living here for long term. So everyone is like, they've been here for 2 weeks. They're here for a week more. I haven't really met anyone or haven't met too many people on an extended stay. They definitely obviously are here. I just maybe haven't been in the same circles as they've been in. So I would look to maybe find out a small bit more in terms of like expats, people working online. There's meetups, there's nomad meetups, there's a Mundo Lingo thing, which is an interesting language exchange that they get a lot of people together. You put on your flags and you go, and like if you're from Ireland, you obviously have your Irish flag on, and then you put on the other ones of the languages you're trying to learn. So you speak to someone in Spanish and they will speak to you in English. It's a really good concept actually, really good idea. Other countries could probably introduce it a small bit more as well, because I've never seen it anywhere else. But that is my quick overview of why I moved to Argentina. Challenge and learn a new language, as well as see South America, and what my first impressions are so far. Love the city, really nice vibe. Probably gets a worse rap for itself outside than like when you're looking. Before I came here, I heard so many things about how dangerous it is and all that, and I think that's just more the media, as always. They love that type of stuff. So I don't think from places I've been, and touch wood, I've had some great experiences down here. I think it's a great place. And I think that you probably shouldn't listen to the media as much when you are thinking about where to go. But yeah, that's all I would say about it so far. It's absolutely great. I love it, and hopefully be able to spend a while longer here. If anyone has any questions or is interested in going down, just get in contact with me on Instagram and let me know. Yeah, I'll hopefully be able to point you in the right direction of things to do and things to try out. There's a few things that you do need to learn when you get here about like getting money out and like getting your phone and stuff like that sorted. But otherwise, everything else is pretty good, and it's the exact same as any city in Europe at all, or any city that I've been to anywhere else. But that's all from me, guys and girls. Hopefully that gives you better insight into what it's like down here. And I'm going to jump off now because I have to go to Jits and be humbled once more. I will chat to you all again next Sunday. Yeah, going to be getting more guests on the podcast over the next while. So always looking for recommendations if anyone has them. Definitely reach out and I will look to get them on. But that are topics as well. It's always a nice one. That's all from me. I'll chat to you all again soon. Have a good one. Okay guys, thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you're looking to learn more about what we do, as well as check out any of the mobility and rehab programs we have available, just head over to the description of this podcast and you will find a link to all the programs there. As always, thank you for listening, and I will chat to you all again in the next episode. Have a good one.